Hello, everyone, and welcome to When Docs Talk. Hey, Davita.
Hi.
Hey, Sonia. We can't hear you, honey.
I might help if I unmute. Sorry. Hello. How are you?
There we go. There we go. So, welcome everyone to When Docs Talk. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, we give you a special welcome. We want to tell you a little bit about who we are and what we do. We're so thankful that you're here with us today. So first things first, my name is Dr. Adidiang Ipe Apo. I'm here in Atlanta. I'm an emergency physician, and I hail from Miami, Florida, but I hail by way of Nigerian parents. I've kind of lived in every corner of this United States, and so I'm really happy to be here with you. This project, When Docs Talk, is a collaboration of emergency practitioners. Basically, we want to give you a perspective that you don't often see. You hear about pop culture, health, politics in the news, but you don't often hear it from people like us who have seen the kind of things that we've seen. So we're really excited about this project, and we're really excited to have all of you joining us with this project. We've had thousands of views on Facebook, YouTube, and we appreciate all of our viewers. I appreciate your questions. I appreciate your support. We're listening to you, the things that you want to see. We're going to try and accommodate you. I want to tell you about some changes before we jump into this show. So this is the first time that we are streaming almost exclusively from our YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel is the place where you can watch all of our old shows and certainly catch us live anytime we come live. You can also watch live at WDT's Facebook page. So we do have a Facebook page, When Docs Talk. You can join us live there, post any of your questions, and we'll try and answer them and pose them to our guest experts. So what are we talking about today? Let's talk a little bit about that. We have all collectively agreed here at When Docs Talk, and just talking to our families and friends, that this year has been particularly challenging for a lot of us. We believe in health in its entirety, mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, all of it. And we always had planned to have an episode on mental health in America. But 2020 has amped up that need to do so. We have heard stories of anxiety, depression, fear, uncertainty. We've also heard stories of resilience. Some people are like, listen, we're just going to keep on pushing. But we recognize that it's an important discussion to have. We wanted to take the pulse, because we're emergency practitioners. We want to check the pulse on our mental health, on your mental health. And so we've started this series entitled, Are We Okay? Are you okay? And what we'll be doing is, even though this is the debut, it's going to be a symposium today, long episode, lots of things packed. We want you to know that we're going to be having bits and pieces throughout the months of October and November in our Are We Okay series. So you'll be hearing from our different experts. If you don't catch the whole thing today, you'll definitely see it. We'll post it on our YouTube channel, on our Facebook channel. You'll get to hear the full interviews with some of our guests because they have a lot of wonderful things to say, but we can't put all of it in today. So we just want you to know that this is just the start, just the debut. So look for our Are We Okay series. We're bringing it to you. Post your questions. Be involved in this discussion. And let's get started. I want to bring back my co-hosts who have been listening to me talk. Let's bring them on so you can see them real well. Let's introduce ourselves to our audience for those who don't know you yet.
Okay, so I'm Sonia Penson. I'm a family practitioner trained, but I work in an ER setting. I was born and raised in Georgia, and I'm also a Navy veteran. Was in the Navy for 9 years, decided to come back to Georgia as well as come back to Atlanta, kind of where I'm from. So glad to be here, glad to be a part of this show, and looking forward to hearing our great guest this evening.
Hi, everybody. My name is Davita Pete. I am an ER nurse. I've been a nurse for 5 years now. That's why I met Dr. Ipe. I am originally from Memphis, Tennessee, but I've been in Atlanta for about 10 years now. So at this point, I am a Georgian.
Yes.
I'm excited about what we have in store for tonight, and hopefully everybody will enjoy it as much as I did.
Let's hope so. So I want you to know we have a bigger crew than this. We have a couple of members who will be joining us later today, and some who are working couldn't make it. We're all frontline workers, so we got to stay on that front line. Morgan and Yolanda hopefully will be able to join us later on in the show to give us their perspectives on what's going on from a mental health perspective in their lives and just in what they're seeing in their patients' lives. Okay, so I want to know from you all out there. Are we okay? Do you feel okay? Is 2020 treating you all right? But for those of you who have been with us since the beginning, you know how we do. We love the quizzes. And so we're bringing the quizzes back. I want you all to post your answers and let us know what you think to this first question. Davida, you want to ask them?
All right. What percentage of Americans suffer from a diagnosable mental illness in a given year? A, 50%, B, 10%, C, 20%, or D, 5%?
Somebody has the Jeopardy answer on there. We're trying to figure out in a given year, how many Americans, this is just for the United States, have some sort of diagnosable mental illness? Do any of you know? What would you guess?
Before I knew the answer to the
Before
question?
you can't guess.
No, I didn't know.
You know what? We won't even put ourselves on the spot. Let's
Right.
let our viewers know.
C,
So
20%.
That's right. So approximately 1 in 5 U.S. adults, at least on any given year. Now, things might have changed now, and that's what we kind of want to talk about. Have things really changed in 2020? Is that different? Are there more people who are experiencing problems with mental illness of some sort? And so I wanted to bring on some data from the CDC. So the CDC stated that during late June of this year, 40% of US adults report struggling with mental health or substance abuse. We also throw that in there. And if you look at this over here, you can see that at the top of that are anxiety and depression symptoms. Okay, we also talk about trauma and stressor-related disorder symptoms. There are about 13% of our population that admitted either starting or increasing their level of substance abuse. And then, of course, there's a segment that have seriously considered suicide in June of 2020. And so that begs the question, how are we feeling? Are we okay? How are we doing? Now, some of you out there were part of our survey. We did a survey here at When Docs Talk where we asked our viewers and friends, family, people that we don't know, whomever, to do an anonymous survey about their mental health. And some of the questions that we answered or had you answer, we wanted to share with you because I feel like there's this sense, and you guys can tell me what you think, ladies. I feel like there's this sense that you're kind of alone and that you should kind of suck things up. You're fine. You know, yes, everyone's struggling, but, you know, maybe you're struggling a little bit more than others. Is that the sense that you sometimes get?
Yes, or people just don't feel comfortable letting other people know how deeply some things are resonating because they seem weak, or especially with the Black community, I would definitely say they don't want to feel too vulnerable with some things that they're struggling with.
Absolutely. Well, let's see what our pollsters, our surveyors said.
So has the year 2020 been challenging for you? And so 111 people answered, and it was 102 out of all those people, 91 or 92% that said yes, that it's been challenging. So that's a real big majority. As well, no, it was only 8% or 9 people. So definitely, it seems like for the most part, the majority of people feel like it's a challenging year.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I agree too. Now the question is, okay, so we asked them if they felt like they're having challenges, but I wanted to know also, are they feeling that this year is more challenging, right? So maybe every year those same people feel like they're challenged. And when we asked them that, have you found this year more challenging than other years? The vast majority of our respondents said yes. I mean, almost 83% were like, yes, this is definitely more challenging than most years. Mm-hmm. We also asked another question.
Are you concerned about the mental health of a loved one? 76% said yes. And this is an interesting question. I really didn't even think about to ask. but just to see the response of people is definitely something that's a concern.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Now, we asked kind of the big question. We're focusing on mental health and emotional wellness. So we're asking about, are you feeling like it's challenging? Are you feeling like it's hard for loved ones? But the real question I wanted to know is, do you feel like the events of this year have negatively impacted your mental or emotional health? Because sometimes I use emotional as well, because sometimes when people say mental health, they think about some sort of big diagnosis that they have to have. So they don't even recognize that there is a problem. So I wanted to get a little bit of a wider perspective. And you can see there that the vast majority of our surveyed viewers and people who answered the survey believe that this year has negatively impacted their mental or emotional health. I thought that it was important for us to just do a little introduction about the virus. It is something that is a huge stressor for many of our viewers and even for us in 2020. So we always have in all of our shows, for those of you who are joining us at When Docs Talk for the first time, a coronavirus moment or update. And what we're going to do instead today, just to lighten the mood a little bit, but also to give some good mask etiquette, is I would like to show a little clip from one of our friends of When Docs Talk, Dr. Anwar Osborne. He was a guest on one of our previous shows, and he has a few words to us and our viewers about mask etiquette. So please enjoy.
Hi, I'm Dr. Anwar Osborne. There's been some confusion lately about wearing masks, and I want to give you the facts. Masks are like your drawers. Follow drawers rules. Rule number 1, don't let anything hang out. Nothing should be peeking out of your drawers ever. None of this. None of this. You can't bird box the Rona. Rule number 2, don't adjust in public. Would you really dig deep to pick out a wedgie? No. Don't adjust them in public with your hands. Your hands carry germs. Wash those nasty things before you put your mask on and before you take it off. Rule number 3, keep them off the table. When you go to a restaurant, would you just casually toss your dirty drawers on the table? I don't need your Fruit of the Looms next to my guacamole. No bueno. Rule number 4, wash them or be nasty. If your mask has more stains on it than the Tupperware you use to store your tomato sauce, you got problems. If it has holes in it, trash it. Wash your mask. Rule number 5, don't swap them. Don't share them with your friends. Hey bro, can I borrow your boxes real quick to just run in that store over there? I mean, for real, remember the rules. Don't let anything hang out. Don't adjust anything in public. Keep them off the table. Wash them or be nasty. And don't swap them. Most importantly, wear them. Now you know. Don't forget it.
I love that. I wanted to bring on our crew, our full crew. Now, 2 of our crew is just joining us now. They're actually on the front lines at work. And the question we have for them and for everyone out there is, are we okay? Are we okay? Are you okay, Morgan?
I make it. Yes, I'm okay. Thank God. But a lot of us aren't. A lot of my family members aren't. And watching a lot of it. First of all, I want to say I'm sorry I wasn't there. It was an amazing show, amazing experts, and a lot of good advice. But I do recognize in the Black community that it is hard for us to ask for help. It's hard for us to seek help, and a lot of us don't know when we need help. But I encourage you, like Lola said, I encourage you to realize that when you do have a problem, to go out there and get help. I too realized that I needed help because I was dealing with a lot of other people's problems. I had to learn how to face and deal with my own. So I will too, like Dr. Omarine say, I did seek help for myself, and it's okay.
It's okay.
And I encourage everyone else to do that as well.
Absolutely. How about you, Dr. Yuli? Thanks for joining us. I know you're just coming back from a shift. Are you okay? Yolanda, can you hear me?
Years.
I cannot hear you guys.
She's not okay. At least her audio is not okay.
Can you guys hear me? Just
we can hear you very well. Okay. I'm not sure why you can hear us. Are you still in the hospital or are you at home?
I can't hear you guys. I'll make it quick. If the question was, am I okay? I'm getting there. I found out that a patient I had passed from COVID mid-March. And I remember being at home, finding out, and hitting my kitchen counter so hard that I broke my wedding ring. And it had nothing to do with me getting infected. It had everything to do with the child that I was breastfeeding getting infected, or my mother-in-law getting infected. And that just started a spiral of anxiety that I'm still trying to get a hold of. But I see a therapist. Shamelessly, I see a therapist, and I encourage everybody else to do the same if you need it.
Absolutely. I almost feel like all of us should. I feel like there are certain professions. I know law enforcement. I have some friends in law enforcement who say that sometimes they're mandated to see a therapist. And so I almost wonder why in our profession we're not. I think if it's normalized, if everyone has to, it's not even if you feel like it, if everyone kind of has to on some level get therapy or take initiative when it comes to their mental health, it won't even be a thing because everyone's doing it. Everyone's doing it. Sonia, talk to me. Are you okay?
I am kind of it some days I'm not. This 2020 has been very, it's been quite a lot, as we've said, I guess, as being repetitive, but more so with COVID, working, seeing people sick, taking care of them, but then also worried about ourselves, bringing up to our family members, also having enough PPE, also having the things that we need, worrying about that.
Right. That's personal protective equipment, right? To protect ourselves in the hospital. Yeah.
But then on top of that, you come home, you turn on the news, somebody who was minding their own business, was accused of something because they looked a certain way, got killed by the police.
Right.
Found out they were innocent. They weren't doing anything. Even if they weren't innocent, they shouldn't be killed, regardless, innocent or not. And then on top of that, politically, how people are dealing with it. Then you look at the news. Yes, the trifecta. You look at the news, and depending upon how they want to spin things. And then I had this horrible thing where I was looking at Facebook. So I would look at all the comments, all the horrible comments that people were making based upon whatever post that they didn't like, this political party, that. And I'm just sitting there like, how horrible. I'm living in this world with people like this. So I really had to limit myself, cut it off. And not to say I don't want to be aware of what's going on, but I have to be kind to myself and take care of myself, because otherwise I can't take care of other people.
That's right.
So I go to a therapist because, my pastor, I go to Elizabeth Baptist Church in Atlanta. And so he said, hey, how do you think I can take care of all of you if I don't take care of myself? I have to talk to somebody. If you're talking to me and I'm taking all this on, I have to take care of me. And so that resonated with me, and so I go to talk to someone. And the other thing is I use the Calm app. That app.
Use the what? Oh, the Calm app?
Calm app. Yes, I use that. It's awesome because I was having such anxiety. Like I look at the news and that kind of stuff, and then trying to go to sleep at night. I couldn't. So the Calm app actually has all these great, like you just listen to the rainfall or like babbling brook. And I know it sounds simple, but it's just a way to you listen to that, relax, not worry about all those things that are going on, and help you to go to sleep. And that's what I've been using. And that's what I've been doing.
I love it. I love that advice. Maybe I should try it. I've never tried it. Dr. Ipe Welch, my sister, just brought it up. So I'm happy that you're kind of endorsing it too. Davida, are you okay?
I am doing the best that I can right now. Mainly what Dr. Pinson was talking about, I experience that all the time. That's exactly what my life is right now. All these different things are influencing me to either be sad or anxious about a lot. I did a lot of travel nursing this year, and a lot of the facilities that I went to, like I was saying earlier in the interview with Dr. Omarine, the way that I'm seeing people die definitely has started affecting me. And I too see a therapist. So I definitely think that it's something that has helped me cope. I encourage others to do the same. And we just have, like you said, thrive regardless.
Absolutely. I like that. I'm okay. Some days better than others. I definitely feel what you all are saying. We are in the ER and we're seeing people come in, like you've mentioned before, and others who are dying in ways we have never seen. There's a lot of uncertainty, and we're people in the end. And I think, you know, a lot of people talk about doctors and healthcare professionals having kind of a God complex. And that can be true of some people. It can, where they feel like, well, I should, you know, be able to do it and so forth. Those of us who have been doing it long enough really know that God is really in charge, not us. But nonetheless, I think this year has humbled a lot of the medical and scientific community, because we're just seeing things from the eyes of lay people when it comes to COVID-19. There's anxiety about bringing things home that I have had. I have, you know, woke up in the middle of the night and been like, my nose is kind of stuffy. Do I have COVID? Like I've been freaking out about stuff, and I'm not a panicky person like that, not about stuff like that. But it's not just about me. It's about my family and not wanting to get my children sick, my husband sick, my mother. I haven't seen her in months. The last time I saw her was only because of a funeral of a cousin of mine who's died. There's a lot of death. There's a lot of fear. And I think that we need to really tap into that, recognize it, and respect it, and understand that it doesn't make us weak. It doesn't make us too scared, or what do they call scaredy cats or so forth. There's a lot of political rhetoric talking about people who are scared of the coronavirus and how they shouldn't be scared and live your lives in fear. It's not that you're living your life in fear. You're living your life in recognition that there is something serious there. And fear is okay sometimes. And it doesn't mean that you don't have faith. Sonia, you were talking about faith in our communities and how some people don't want to seek help. I'm so happy to hear that there's a lot of faith leaders who are seeking mental health, because they're not mutually exclusive. You can believe in God, as I very much do, and still need help, need that edification from the people that he's put here on earth to help us out, which may be mental health specialists. So I think we're hanging in there. We've heard from our experts all the reasons why it's difficult to do so this year. I think we need to keep on holding on to each other, even if it's through Zoom, even if it's through your social media. But we have to be careful what we put in ourselves too. In an interview that you all will see later when we release it later in the month, you'll see some of our experts are saying you got to turn it off sometimes. All this social media, all the news and so forth, although it's important to know what's going on, you can't have constant barrage of images that are just tearing you down. And so I think we're okay. Some of us less than others, but we can be better. I want to just show you all some of the things that you all have told us through your survey about how you're feeling in 2020. We asked you all, do you often feel anxious? And the vast majority of you, I shouldn't say the vast majority, I'd say a good majority of you, almost 60% said yes. We asked you all, do you feel more anxious often this year than in prior years? And 62% of you said absolutely yes. We asked you if you've experienced more death or loss this year than usual. Many of you have talked about how there's so much death and we're seeing dying in ways we've never seen before. And interestingly enough, not that many people felt like they were having more death or loss this year, but yet people still felt anxious. And then we asked them if they felt more sad. Do you feel sad more often this year than in prior years? And you can see that most people say yes, they do feel more sad. What about sleeping? Because a lot of you have mentioned problems with sleep. And so we wanted to know from our viewers and our surveyed audience, are they having difficulty sleeping? Are you having difficulty sleeping? And you can see that most people are. And we also wanted to know if it was more this year than other years. And I'd say it's about 50-50. Some people said, yes, this year it's harder for me to sleep. Other people said, no, it's not. So we wanted to know, what about hope? So along with depression and anxiety, there's always this sense of is there hope? And so we wanted to know, have you been feeling a loss of hope in 2020? And as you can see, about 50 something percent said yes, 55% roughly. And what about the whole light at the end of the tunnel that we talked about in one of our interviews? Do you believe that things will get better or worse in 2020? And what struck me here is that a large majority have no idea. They just don't know. We just don't know where things are going to go. And that's what our surveyed audience said as well. We asked about financial setbacks or losses. And for the most part, people said no. I mean, 52% said no. But then when we wanted to ask specifically about the different things that we've heard mentioned throughout the broadcast as potential sources of stress in 2020, we asked, is COVID-19 a source of anxiety or sadness for you? 73% of all people surveyed said yes. We asked specifically if the economy or finances were a source of anxiety or sadness, and 60% said yes. We asked about the highly publicized recent shootings of Black people. Is that a source of anxiety or sadness for you? You can see that 91% of the people surveyed said yes. We asked about the current racial climate and whether it's a source of anxiety or sadness. Once again, 93% said yes. And of course, we had to ask about that election that is upcoming. Is that a source of anxiety or sadness specifically? 80% said yes. I don't think that surprises any of you.
No.
Some of the things that are on your minds too?
Yes, definitely.
Pretty much. Well, we asked people to also text in what it is that's the biggest source of anxiety or sadness for them this year. One person said unemployment. Another person said the impact this pandemic has had on my children. Mm. Another one talked about the widening divide along racial and class lines. Still yet again, somebody mentioned the suicide of his or her son. You know, it's an anonymous survey, so I don't know the gender of the person. The election probably came up in 50% of the respondents said something about the election, some way, shape, or form. So this is obviously causing a lot of anxiety in people in this society. And then somebody mentioned being a frontline nurse in the pandemic as a source of stress, which our nurses here, Morgan and Davida, have told us that's definitely a source of stress. I can tell you as a physician on the front line, and Sonia and Dr. Yuli, you've also mentioned, those are all things that we also share with our surveyed audience. So that's what's bothering people. That's what's on our minds. We're maybe not okay, but I think we're going to be okay.
Yes.
What are your final thoughts as we say goodnight?
I can say that I've yet to see the light at the end of the tunnel, but I'm a believer and I have faith that we will. But most importantly, seek help if you need it. That's the only way you're going to stay afloat. That's the only way you're going to stay healthy enough for your family. And for for all of us, that's the only way we're going to stay healthy enough for our patients.
Great.
Yes.
Last thought, Sonia.
No, I totally agree. I know everybody's like, all of a sudden 2021 is going to come and everything's going to turn off, but I don't know if that's true. I think that's just it from the standpoint of figuring out the strategies you need to do to take care of yourself. And I think the best thing that I heard tonight was grace. Having grace with others, but having grace with yourself.
Yes.
And recognizing whatever you need to do to take care of yourself and doing that.
Amen. I love that. I love that. Yeah. Grace.
So that's what I'm going to try to do moving forward. And also, everybody, we all need to be there for one another.
Yes.
Not isolating ourselves, making sure if we think somebody's isolating themselves, reach out, making sure, checking on people to make sure that they're okay.
That is absolutely true.
Absolutely.
Yolanda?
I think that all of the negative feelings that we've got going on are all valid. I think it's okay to recognize that they are. And I want to say, I think that recent events have ruined the word stand for me. So I'm going to up.
You don't like the word stand, like stand by or anything like that?
Yeah.
Those words don't make you proud?
Not right now.
There'll be something else. But I say stand strong and stand up.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Stand strong and stand up. Davida, what do you have for our viewers in conclusion?
I would definitely say that there's no right way to deal with this and with everything that's going on. This has never happened before. We just have to stay motivated to keep going. You know, I know it seems with everything going on, it's despairing a lot of the time. But like Dr. Pence mentioned, we do have to give ourselves grace and check in with people. I know that it's easy to get distracted with everything that's going on, but just taking the time to really focus in on what's important to you, your loved ones, and that's it. Because at the end of the day, that's all you're going to have.
That's right.
Yes.
I want to say, I think we're going to be okay. You may not be okay right now, but you're going to be okay. As long as we recognize that it's important to take care of all aspects of ourselves. So we're focusing on mental health today, right? But we need to make sure that we take care of our physical health as best as possible. Sometimes we feel shut in, especially with all the restrictions, many of them lifted in most states, but get outside, take a walk. Your emotional well-being is important. Your spiritual well-being, especially if you're a spiritual person, check in on that too. Just looking at ourselves as a whole and not just different compartments. That's one thing. And two, recognizing that there may be subtle things that you're missing. Okay. That's with your loved ones. That's as physicians, healthcare workers. You may be picking up on something the wrong way. So speaking to our experts, we've heard how sometimes a child who's throwing more temper tantrums might be really suffering because of all that's going on with virtual learning and isolation. That relationship that you have that's struggling with your spouse, with your siblings, with your parents, it might be because of how you're feeling. So it kind of goes with the picture of grace. Don't assume that because somebody is behaving a certain way, that it's something personal. Right. And that goes with the patients that I see too. I saw a patient who came into the emergency setting 3 times for the same thing. And I saw her 2 of those times, but it wasn't until the 3rd time that I sat down and I learned that she had lost 3 family members from COVID-19. And that's why even at 21 years old, she was terrified when she was feeling what she complained of as chest pain. So I have chest pains. She had every kind of workup you could imagine, even those that you wouldn't necessarily do on somebody with no risk factors for anything major. But it wasn't until I found out, this person is suffering. And she broke down and cried. She's like, I'm scared to fall asleep at night. I know I don't have COVID. And she was tested every time she came in. You better believe she was. But even though I don't have COVID, I'm scared I might not wake up. And she talked about how she wants to stay in bed with her mother as a grown woman. And she feels ashamed of that because she just wants her mother to watch her and make sure that she wakes up. And she has no mental health history. And I know that there are some people who are a little bit annoyed to see her 3 times coming into the department. What is she coming for? She's young and healthy. Maybe that's what she's coming for. So all that meets the eyes isn't all what it really is.
Right.
Let's have the grace, the patience, and compassion to discover that. We'll see you all over the course of October and November in our Are We Okay series. Thank you for hanging in there and joining us. For all of our experts and our after talk, stay well, thrive regardless. We'll see you next time. Well, everyone, that completes another episode of When Docs Talks Are We Okay series, examining the challenges to mental health in 2020. We hope that you enjoyed it, and we hope that you recognize that you're not alone. Please be sure to check us out at our YouTube channel, When Docs Talk. Subscribe to us and get notifications for our upcoming shows. And if you've missed any of our series or any of our past episodes, you could also catch them there. And one last thing I want to leave with you all, please make sure you get out there and vote like your life depends on it. If you happen to catch this after the election, I hope you voted. We'll see you next time. Take care and stay well.